Well, welcome back to Vintage Super League, where I'm joined by the extraordinarily lucky German juggernaut Kai Buddha. Congratulations, Tinker. It's a heck of a
Yeah,
card they made, huh?
yeah. I mean, come on. Like, I had a pretty tough matchup against Lewis. I mean, Lewis is one of the few guys you don't want to play in blue mirrors in Vintage. And then his child is coming today, so I was feeling pretty lucky. I mean, first of all, I was happy for Lewis, and then I was happy about not having to play Lewis. I told Lewis he should maybe get Shion to play, but then he replaced himself with Own,
Right,
who's probably on another short list of people you don't want to play. Eh,
right. So
whatever.
basically, the best player from 15 years ago is upset that the best player from 9 years ago upgraded to the best player from right now. Is that what you're
Yes, yes.
saying?
That is pretty much my line. And I actually thought I had thrown away game one when I used the grindstone. I thought he was just gonna go Yakmosville, Mana Crypt Lotus, Tinker, Time Walk, kill me. But yeah, obviously couldn't do that because he didn't have cards in his library to another draw step. But like for a second I was like, whoa, I just I just conceded on the board.
Right. As the commentators pointed out, a lot of his victory lines involved getting to like a ridiculous amount of cards in hand somehow, I don't know how, and then discarding Blightsteel Colossus. So I'm not exactly sure how he would have pulled that off with no.
No. Yeah, like you have to draw cards to discard Blightsteel Colossus. You can't draw cards if you don't have a library. It's pretty complicated. But yeah, like for a second I was like, whoa, I just completely messed this up. But yeah. No, I mean he just didn't draw Force of Wills in game one. Like he drew more than half his library, I believe. And just no Force of Wills. Yeah.
So we're
Second
gonna,
game, Mulligan.
watch Randy try to get off the schneid here. We're gonna take a look at the these players' deck lists as Randy faces Steve Menendian. Randy, of course, we know playing the Grix. Oh,
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
it's not Randy actually. It's Ochoa playing against Rich.
My fault. I'm doing back-to-back commentary here, so I gave you an extra special early preview of my next commentary in a little
Yeah.
bit.
So basically, we're going from the exciting blue mirror match to the boring Eldrazi mirror match here. On one side, we have Web with the unpowered Eldrazi deck, and then on the other side, we have Rich with artifacts with Sword Knots here. But also, like we have two heavily creature-based decks here.
So what cards, if any, are going to make the difference in this kind of matchup?
I mean, first of all, Rich is fully powered, and Ochoa isn't, and Ochoa has null rods, which could be really rough for Rich, I think.
Right, but so many of these cards are symmetrical. So it strikes me that initiative is critical here, right? The die roll. I mean, always in Vintage, the die roll is important, but especially when you're playing all these sphere effects and thought nuts, you're getting to an early start.
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, oh wait, I'm being stupid. David is not on the Eldrazi deck, is he? I thought he was on Eldrazi, but can we see David's deck, please?
David is also on the Eldrazi deck, the unpowered list. I think that you are correct about that.
I'm wondering what deck lists I'm looking at the Wizards webpage right now. Probably just the play-in stuff. That would explain. Yeah, right. He is on Eldrazi. Yeah, but like, look, the Eldrazi creatures are way better than the Shops creatures, right? And the Shops deck is really bad against creature decks usually. I mean, just if he can cast Endbringer, what is he gonna do about it?
Right.
Like Endless One, Endbringer, Phyrexian Metamorph, Reality Smashers. Those cards are great against workshops.
There are some percentage of games that this Jaco Drazi deck defeats itself by drawing kind of the wrong mixture of mana, of course, without you mentioned unpowered, where it can't cast the spells or it's casting them on curve as opposed to ahead of curve, which is obviously unacceptable for Vintage.
I mean, we're looking at a deck with Endless One, Endbringer, Reality Smasher, and Swordknots here. Like, there is a percentage where you just can't cast any cards, right? You're just looking at these 6 mana cards in your hand. And then there's also Warping Whales, which is 2 mana, 1/1. I suppose that's probably getting sideboarded out, I guess.
Although neither player has that many exciting sideboard options, to be honest, for the mirror.
Spatial Contortion is fine, I guess. I mean, he's probably going to bring in the Ulamo, right? Just, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I think it's unacceptable that these people have bought creature decks Disrespecting this Vintage format where obviously you're supposed to be playing all of these blue cards.
Nah, come on. They didn't have you in their brackets. Why would they bring that much creature hate? That you're being unfair.
Although,
But yeah,
you look at this, if David is able to, say, draw an Ancient Tomb and get down a turn one Null Rod, I mean, that's going to win a very, very high percentage of the time.
it basically means that Swordnuts here won't be cast, right? I mean, it's not many mana sources left for Swordnuts here if that happens. Like,
Right.
Ancient Tombs and Eldrazi Temples, I guess. I mean, that's 8, so he has to draw 2 of them, but yeah, like, Nullrod is a beating. I mean, Nullrod also deals with Arcbound Ravager. Hangerback Walker is a lot less exciting with Nullrod in play. Like, you can't charge it up, and you won't be able to cast it for a huge amount of mana. I mean, yeah. And then both of them have lockdown pieces. I mean, Thorn of Amethyst is really unexciting in this matchup. But then David doesn't actually have that. Yeah, I mean, on paper, I think David is just quite far ahead. Like, his
And
creatures are bigger, he has less dead cards.
and there's some percentage of games where both players have, kind of unexciting draws, and we get to see some, old-fashioned creature combat with, kind of normally casted Dirkwood Boars and Fire Elementals and what have you, fighting each other. And at that point, those are probably the most interesting games that we see. Honestly, is where one player doesn't lock the other one out of the game.
Speak for yourself, maybe. you, you as a creature fanatic here. I mean, no one is getting locked out here, right? Like, I mean, I guess Dave can lock out Rich with Nalrod, but I mean, I guess Rich has a shot to lock him down with like Sphere of Resistance and Tanglewire, but I would assume that both of them can cast their spells. Also, David does have 8 Wastelands and the 4 Nulroids, which is pretty rough. Like, the Ghost Quarters there's no basic lands in Rich's deck, so.
Well, it sounds like both the players are ready. So let's head back down to the match for Rich Shay versus David Ochoa, match number 3 tonight in Vintage Super League. Welcome back to the Vintage Super League. As we mentioned before, we have David Webb Ochoa and his unpowered Jocko Drazi deck versus Rich Shay and his powered up Eldrazi deck. Both players currently considering their opening hands, and it looks like Rich Shay will be on the play. What do you think about Rich's hand, Kai?
It's not exciting. Snow Workshop, no engine. Yeah, I think you have to mulligan. That just. You need fast mana. That's way better, even though it's not great. This is the old. Like, I mean, I know it's a good card, and I know people having success with that, but I just don't see Swordnuts here in a Workshop deck. Mm-hmm. It's just every time I'm looking at these hands where you just can't cast it because your land is a Workshop. I think Ochoa's hand is actually also not great, but he probably has to keep Ancient Tomb into Nullrod with the Dismember in hand. I mean, he would like a second land. He does have 25 in his deck, but I think you just can't mulligan Ancient Tomb into Nullrod. It's so good in this matchup.
Right, we're gonna see no rod, and then probably David's gonna get stripped, and we're gonna see one of those ugly, kind of grimy type games where neither player is doing that much exciting thing.
It's probably turn 1 Ghost Quarters, all right. I mean, Rich didn't play any Moxen, so Zenoro doesn't seem that exciting, and he has four cards in his hand, so I would probably just Ghost Quarter here.
Right, on the draw against the player who's mulliganed. Didn't play. Great point. Didn't play the Moxen's a chance to kind of just grind him out from a resource standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of risky. I mean, Rich also has the Strip Mine for the Ancient Tomb, but I mean, the Ravager is not going to kill him.
No.
That takes a while.
And there are a lot of scary turns, that Rich can have on turn 2, even with a Null Rod in play. So. But not so much if he gets that workshop quartered.
Yeah. I mean, we're just playing 4 Triskelions, I believe, so getting the workshops off the table is pretty good. I mean, casting these is... if your workshops are getting wasted, it's not much fun.
I like doing it on their upkeep to make it seem like you forgot. What do you think about that?
Very classy. Very classy, yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe the Ravager is just attacking 19 times. I mean...
Won't even need to attack 19.
Oh, we won't... Yeah, I mean, the Ancient Tomb, too. Yeah. 16 attacks. Yeah, this game
Some
might
consideration to just playing the Mimic here, I guess, to try to trade it off for the Ravager.
probably, yeah. I mean, at this point, you don't expect artifacts in Rich Hand, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not much.
Of course, Null Rod already shuts down the ability of the Ravager in play, although it's questionable how relevant that is when Rich is so constrained on just total resources.
Yeah.
We've
I would.
seen.
I kind of like. I like Mimic. I like your line there. I just want to trade now.
Mhm.
Like Rich doesn't have anything. He played a strip mine as a second land, 4 cards in hand. I think you just don't want to die at this point.
Right. Even some consideration to dismembering here in this standpoint because of the fact that he may not get to cast a spell for some time. Although, certainly that line loses to. It just seems a little aggressive, I guess, to use the dismember on a 1/1 at this point.
Paying 6 life to kill a 1/1. That's not the best deal.
It's a bargain.
But yeah, that Endbringer and that Reality Smasher. Not sure we're going to see those in this game.
This game could go many, many more turns, honestly, after both players grind each other's resources down. And we might see that Crucible of Worlds end up having a major impact in a few turns if they.
Well, that assumes he gets to 3 mana. Like, right now, I'm seeing no lands in play on turn 3 for either player.
Would you say this is like pure vintage?
No.
No.
We have a backup Ancient Tomb.
With Strip Mine and Ghost Quarter, they should just have back to basics in play. One used and then.
Yeah, I mean, Ochoa's deck doesn't really beat back to basics, I don't think. I mean, are you playing him in this round?
Unfortunately, I was unlucky that I did not play any of these artifact decks with my Null Rod back to basics deck.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty unlucky, yeah.
So we might see David leave Rich permanentless, or we might see him get that. We're gonna see him get the Null Rod in play now, which I like. I like the fact that he shut off a lot of Rich's best draws, like Lotus here.
A Drowsy Temple. That's a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
That is a step backwards.
What he needs is one of those 2-for-1 harbors, like in Settlers, and trade them in for like a basic island or something.
One basic island? He needs a couple more than that.
One basic island gets the Crucible out, and then he's well on his way.
I mean, this 6-card hand is competing for the most expensive hand I've ever seen in Vintage. What's like 16, 19, 26 mana symbols?
What's the Storm sorcery that deals damage equal to converted mana cost? From
oh, that's the one that Chapin played against Nassif, right? And just kept missing or something?
Something Ignite Memories? Is that possible?
Ignite Memories, yeah, that would be good, I think.
Oh my
Maybe
god.
We can just...
Almost certainly in the game at this point if you could storm it for 4 or 5.
So at this point, if Rich draws any of his remaining 7 2-mana lands, he just wins, right? He just chains Sword, not CS. I mean, I guess it gets dismembered.
This Crucible is about to go to work.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, we're drawing more Reality Smashers. Oh no. Oh, a Mimic. Yeah.
That's going to be enough.
Ravager. These guys are not drawing many lands. Something seems to be out of sync with our camps here, right?
Not sure here. I think it's possible that Rich might have F6 through one of his turns, and that's what made it.
Oh. Well... Now Rich is soon going to sideboard as well. Because this is going to end fast now. What do you grab here? Do you take one of the Sword Nuts here? You could take Tangle. Ah, that doesn't even do anything.
No.
You could. I think it's either Hangerback Walker or Sword Nuts here, but he has 2 of each, so.
My instinct would be the hanger back walker in this situation because the thought nuts here you can just dismember and kill him, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, he would take the dismember, I suppose.
I mean, if he draws like a workshop and then he can cast Hanger Backwalker, he might be able to jump block back into the game, but now he's actually dead. Reality Smasher.
And if this reality smasher doesn't do it, the next two, followed by the Endbringer, certainly will.
Yeah, some backups. Okay, that was a pretty bad game.
I enjoyed it.
That's how these creature battles go. Which clicked the Thorn of Amethyst very fast out of his deck. Wow. Okay, he had a plan. So I assume he boarded out the 4 Thorns for 2 relics, a Mind Break Trap. Oh no, 3 Crucibles and a relic probably. You can probably bring in 2 relics in this matchup just to make sure that your opponent's Crucibles don't do anything.
And when you know what you want to do, there's no reason to mess around. I have in my matchup later today against Ephro, I have 6 cards in my main deck that are worse than dead. They're actually worse to have them in play for me than they are for Ephro. So I'll know how to take them out pretty quick.
Null Rod, you mean, or?
Null Rod and Back to Basics are both worse than dead to have in play.
But match. You also need something to tinker away, right? You just don't have anything.
That's true. That's a great point. You know what's funny about is that I played what was it? I played Blue Elemental Blast instead of Hydro Blast or something like that, or I instead of a mixture, and whichever one works would be way better. I would actually board it in just to kill Phantasmal Image if I had.
Oh yeah.
But
sure.
instead I just don't. I have the wrong one. Unfortunately, it's due to my.
Yeah, you need the Ice Age one. The Ice Age one can be cast on permanents without them being blue.
And
or red in this case.
I wanted the one with the better picture.
Oh, so you probably played the original, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Ice Age one is just strictly better, right? I mean, I had this scenario with Owen in the previous game. I was thinking about Pyroblasting his land when I had to Paint the Servant in hand, but I knew that he had 1 misdirection in his deck, so I didn't do that. Then he cast a blue spell, and then you can choose a mode to counter target spell, and he couldn't misdirect it. I mean, He could counter it with misdirection, but...
And he did have the misdirection in his hand.
He did have the misdirection, yeah. If I Pyroblasted his lands there, he would have Pyroblasted my deck Fane. That would have been pretty bad. Okay, so Ochoa didn't have a plan, and apparently he doesn't want to bring in the Ulamog, which I'm very disappointed about.
So Leyline is, of course, a way to shut down both Hangerback Walker and Arcbound Ravager's modular abilities. Does that have any other impact that maybe I'm forgetting?
Well, there's Crucible, right? Rich boarded in 3 Crucibles.
Does it shut off Rich's Thought-Knot Seer death trigger as well? Could be a disadvantage to have Leyline in play. Or is that when it leaves play?
It could be leave play. I'm pretty sure it's leave play.
Okay, so that's not going to be an issue.
But I mean, the thing is, it's just instead of dead cards, right? Okay, I like the hand at the bottom of the screen already. Although I still don't like the Thought-Knot Seer Workshop interaction, but I like everything else about the hand. It's a very easy keep.
Actually very interesting here.
Okay, if Ochoa keeps his hand, he's getting completely screwed. Because he's keeping it on the basis of having 3 Wastelands, and he's playing against a turn 1 Crucible, which he can't deal with. So yeah, this game is... Basically, Ochoa just discarded half his hand on turn 1.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out perfectly, but... but... honestly, I can't fault him for the decision. You know, to have those Wastelands on the draw is pretty attractive. Lands are usually pretty good in these Eldrazi mirrors, and a lot of times it comes down to who draws more lands, who draws more of that Wasteland type effect. Turn 1 Crucible.
I do realize that you like attacking for 2 with 6 lands and a 2/1. Isn't that a bit too much for you even?
I think I would have kept it. I've kept some hands.
Do you ever keep hands with like lands and spells, or do you just go for like each end of the spectrum? Like all spells or all lands?
I can't imagine being so lucky. What is it like to get a hand with lands and spells? We'll have to ask Luis after, this evening.
Endbringer. Okay. We're locking down Endbringer very early here.
Yes.
So our Crucible Wasteland lock. That means Endbringer will never be cast in this game.
One time I was watching a friend of mine play, who I won't name. It was Jamie Park, and did an attack with creatures situation where you just absolutely have to attack with everything. And after the game, he won like 5 turns later, but he should have won in 2 turns. And we asked him, why didn't you attack with your 4/4 when he had like a 2/3 out and like 3 cards in his hand? And he didn't really have a good answer for why he didn't ask. And I said, Jamie, that's a good move. Number one rule of Magic is you can never be too careful, and that's what I think that Rich was doing with that Revoker. How is David going to get the 6 mana? Nobody knows, but you can never be too careful.
Just to be on the safe side.
No, but he's throwing away the Revoker.
Yeah.
All right, so we are a few Rite of Flames away, and
Actually, what?
a
4
death,
Rite of Flames, right?
and then a way to make colorless mana as well.
Not important.
Folks, you probably think commentary is easy watching this at home, but you haven't commentated Eldrazi and Eldrazi with no permanence in play because there's not a lot that can really be discussed. So.
Yeah, I mean, this game is not exactly interesting either.
It's the
I mean,
race here.
If Dave gets lucky and he draws another Mimic, he can go Eye into Mimic. But that's about the only spell I can see him casting this game. Certainly no 5 mana stuff. Yeah, this is Workshop Crucible Wasteland opener. It's rough to beat. The Mana Crypt is doing work though, 8 life.
Yeah. Rich is very smartly using all of his Mana Crypt flip losses or losses on this game that he can't possibly lose. You don't want to use those in important games.
If he forgets to sacrifice it to his Ravager when he's in range.
Sure.
Maybe.
Right, that's the position that Ochoa is trying to.
5? I hope he looks at his life total.
I hope he doesn't. It's way more exciting.
Oh, he sacrificed it. Come on. That was boring.
All right, so for game 3, do you think there's, Ochoa might react with considering bringing in all the Leyline of the Voids? We obviously missed the Crucible execution there.
Yeah, he probably, maybe on the draw, maybe he should have had more of those ley lines just to make sure. Like, I think if they're playing like a fair game where both are casting their creatures, I think he's just way ahead. Like, his creatures are way bigger. So, maybe just, I mean, he definitely has bad cards in his deck, so maybe it's just better to have 4 ley lines. Also, if you draw 2 ley lines, that's pretty terrible.
Right, you are playing kind of the Leyline game, right? Where the first one, especially in your opening hand, is usually extremely strong. But if you don't draw in your opening hand, and then 2 of your first 6 draw steps are ley lines, you really crushed yourself.
Did you see what Dave did there? I think that was a very good play. When Rich wasted him, he responded by strip mining his own strip mine, just to make sure that he didn't allow Rich to actually strip mine him. I think that was pretty important.
Yeah, moral victories are crucial here.
That's probably Lisa, right? That's for... Oh, that's just for 1. Never mind. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope. Down to 1. Really? Pretty sure it's 8.
A sporting man would attack for 8 and then sack Ravager to itself. He'd still be favored.
He would still be favored, yeah. Not the best play, but... Yeah, the 6 land opener against turn 1 Crucible with Wasteland. I mean, Rich only has 2 Crucibles, I guess. So... Oh no, he has 3, I think, yeah. Ochoa has 2.
So he does have 4 ley lines in the deck. I don't know if he added those 2 ley line right at the last second of sideboarding before he saw it, or if he just put them in. But he's going to try to spin the ley line roulette here for game 3.
He doesn't have the spatial contortion. Isn't that the +3 -3 thing?
It is. It seems fairly strong in this matchup, but um, I guess he feels like, you know, with Null Rod and or Leyline, his creature is enough, should be enough to win. You know, a lot of these combats. He doesn't need to actually interface with Rich's creatures.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't actually kill that much. I mean, it kills the Lodestone Golem, it kills the Revokers, and it kills the Ravagers and the Hangerback Walkers, but that's it. I mean, Ravager and Hangerback Walkers, not the most exciting target. So
Maybe
yeah,
not the most exciting, super mediocre hand from David, and exactly the sort of hand where you feel like you're just going to draw a ley line, like at some point in the first few turns when you need to draw some action. I would give
hmm,
strong consideration to mulliganing this hand.
yeah. I mean, if he keeps this, it's not gonna be so bad for him. Like, if he keeps this, he's going Ghost Water Go, then Ochoa will go Ancient Tomb, Mox, Swordknots here. He will Dismember with that on the stack. And he's not in a terrible spot.
Is there any consideration to Eye of Ugin two endless ones, or that's too bad?
Could do that too with the Dismember in hand, but then he gets destroyed by the turn 1 Swordknots here, which will just take the Dismember, and then you're looking at a 4-4.
I think there's too many ways that this hand can go really wrong, but maybe these are the sorts of hands that you have to keep when you're playing an unpowered deck.
It is unexciting, to say the least.
Right. My point being that because there's no Ancestral Lotus waiting in your 6 card hand, you know, you can do better, but you can't do a ton better than this with 6.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, you're just never gonna do broken stuff turn 1, right? With that
Exactly.
deck. I mean, your broken turn 1 is Ancient Tomb Nullrod.
Exactly.
You can't mulligan to Ancient Tomb Nullrod. That's not happening.
Exactly my thought process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a keep. But if you keep it, what's your turn 1?
Not knowing the opponent, I think I'm going to play Eye of Ugin in both of the endless ones. I think that, yeah, I can't fault this play at all. This follows up with this member backup. Um, he's going to get blown out, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, ugly. But he's not dead. Not dead by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it's gonna take the dismember out, but you
He's in a really bad spot.
know, he'd love to draw Ancient Tomb here. Honestly, Ancient Tomb will allow him to get the Null Rod in play and slow this game way down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, getting Zalora into play before Triskelion is being cast is very important.
Could also just draw another dismember here.
I think he only has 2. So.
Probably draw
Oh,
late.
yes, well, he has 3 dismembers. Cavern of Souls, that doesn't do anything. Do you Ghost Quarter the Ancient Tomb?
Man, now you're in a tough spot. Now, I mean, obviously your line would have worked out a lot better. Um,
Yeah, but like my line knows that I'm playing against turn 1 Swordknots here. I
right.
mean, I don't think you can really plan around that. Eh. I mean, Rich isn't doing that much.
No.
Do you cast Sphere or Hangerback? I would probably be tempted to cast Hangerback, but Sphere is way better. Looking at David's hand.
I think I would play Ravager and Sphere. Because Ravager Sphere protects me against Null Rod blanking half of my board.
Yeah, but to be fair, the Sphere probably stops any null roads for the next turn at least. So, but
Right.
yeah, getting the Ravager into play is pretty nice. So, not see that cannot be cast right now. That would have been a good draw last turn.
Nothing can be cast right
Oh
now.
no, never mind. Yeah, he didn't have the caverns last turn. That Metamorph doesn't look all that hot with that Eye of Ugin.
Mm. David is an exceptional player, and I'm sure he'll find some great uses for these grizzly bears that he's assembled at some point.
Probably chump blocking before he concedes. That is kinda the most likely use right now. I think Rich is way ahead now.
Oh yeah, and he finds relic.
Just got it all. probably don't even cast the relic, right? I think I would just want to charge Hangerback Walker.
Yeah. No, yeah, I wouldn't cast the relic. There it is.
Leyline of the Void,
There it
finally.
is. So Dave is just 2 black and then 1 other mana away from being able to get that Leyline into play.
Well, he does have what's it called, Tomb of Yakmos or something? Orborg Tomb of Yakmos. Yeah, he does have that. So
Urborg can
maybe
still be a little short.
Trinisphere, not the most exciting draw. It's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
That's that's a pretty terrible card to have in your deck when you play against someone that only has 2+ casting costs in his deck. Actually, but I guess Rich just didn't have anything else. I mean,
yeah.
it really doesn't do much. But
What can go wrong here for Rich?
hardly anything. I mean, he just keeps charging Hangerback Walker, and then eventually he's gonna make like 5 flyers or something, and that's gonna be it. Like, I don't think Ochoa has, I mean, Endbringer, but yeah.
Endbringer.
I mean, I don't think he has anything that deals with lots of small flyers.
And he's now protected from...
Yeah, I mean, now that thing starts attacking too, which you can't really block. I guess you don't sacrifice anything. Yeah, I think you just take 1. Whatever.
Yeah, I think you're just leaning on him here.
I mean, you still want to draw 1 more land so you can cast your Triskelion, and then you can start sacrificing. Right. Also, Null Rod. Yeah, I guess it's better to cast first. So you probably want to sacrifice a lot now, right? I think you want to like charge up the Hangerback Walker and then sacrifice multiple artifacts.
Agreed.
And then next turn we're just attacking with everything. Yeah, I mean, this is not going anywhere. Like, the Sphere can go for sure. Sphere doesn't stack with Trinisphere anyway. It's probably better to draw a card from the relic. I think I'm sacrificing 2 of my Moxes in that spot. At least 2, maybe all 3.
Well, why would you not sacrifice all 3?
Yeah, I mean, you can still cast Triskelion.
How?
But yeah, I mean, well, if you draw a Workshop, for example.
But
then you can cast it anyway. Yeah, I guess also. But I'm pretty sure the Sphere has to go, right? There's no reason to keep the Sphere in play. Oh, wow.
I like it.
I mean, it speeds up the game, but I don't think that was necessary because Ochoa would have had to trade off the Ravager. There's no way he can, like, do something clever about it.
Still love it.
I mean, it does, yeah. Just a 2-turn clock now. And another Null Rod.
Congratulations to Rich Shay, who overcame a very difficult game 1 there to come back and take the second 2 games against David Webb Ochoa's Jayco Drazi deck. Basically the first 2 games were the quality we expected. Game 3, there were some interesting kind of decision points, but ultimately, what was an unexciting opening hand by Ochoa just never really kind of panned out for him.
Yeah, I mean, David's draws in all 3 games were very unexciting, I think. Mm-hmm. Even the one he won, I don't know. Like, he never got a good Eldrazi draw, pretty much. But then I guess he doesn't really have it, because a good Eldrazi draw includes either Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt, and he doesn't play these cards. So, I mean, he's just playing a fair deck, and in 2 of the games, Richard didn't play fair. Like, in 2 of the games, Rich just went, like, turn 1 Sword Knot Seer or turn 1 Crucible with Wasteland in hand. And David's deck just has a problem beating unfair draws, I guess.
Yeah, and so Ochoa drops to 1-4, and now becomes a Steven Menendian fan as dreams of the playoffs start to slip away, and he starts to look at that relegation standing, and Randy sitting there at 0-4. So potentially a pile up at 1-4 if Randy's able to win coming up here, or if Steven wins, then Randy kind of sitting by himself at at 05. So interesting matchup coming up. But
Honestly, I mean, I just realized that David is playing Legacy. He's not playing Vintage. If you take the Strip Mine and replace it with the Force Ghost Quarter, he's just playing Legacy. There's one Chalice of the Void, but I think I think you can play 4 in Legacy. He's playing a verse Legacy deck. Like, this deck is strictly verse and Legacy. Like, in Legacy, you can play this deck with 4 Chalice.
well, that's just respectful. He's just trying to make sure that we've got all of our bases covered. He's leaving the, it's like in poker. Someone's got to play with the face cards. Other people have to play with the small cards, or the flops miss everybody. So, I appreciate that. I appreciate what he's doing, and maybe I'll bring a modern deck for next time, and you can bring block constructed. We'll get all of our bases.
I mean, I could bring Ursa Saga block constructed. I would be fine with that, I think.
I tried to build a deck with Mind Over Matter. It turns out that card it's not good in Vintage.
Yeah. Like, if you resolve 5 mana blue cards, you should be winning and not, like, have to cast six even? 6, yeah. Like, those cards should be winning the game right away and not, like, have you to do crazy stuff afterwards.
Yeah, turns out Academy by itself is pretty good. You don't need to untap it 4 times to make 33 mana or 36 mana. So, all right, excellent. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Mr. Menendian, one of the vintage legends, against the creator of the league, Randy Bueller, with more Vintage Super League.